Is this okay? Is everybody okay?
Hi, Doctor.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
Great. How are you, Doctor?
I'm okay. First week of the semester for you, but for me, it's like never ending. You had a bunch of classes this morning, right? Did you have a bunch of classes this morning? What classes did you have today?
We had aquatic doctor practical class.
Oh, practical class. So what do you all do for that?
I just saw some fish.
Saw some fish. Ah, okay, all right. Was it like aquaculture fish or like ornamental fish?
Both doctor.
Oh, got both. Oh, that's great. Nice, nice. Great. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for the rest of you guys to roll in. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you guys for this semester? Maybe you can just type in the chat. 10 is like
5.
super excited. 1 is like the 5 is like physical stuff. Oh yeah, definitely, right? $9.9. Right, all right. How are you gonna make it plus 0.1 more, Kayal? You're gonna make it a 10.
Doctor, maybe once we enter the faculty back, then I think can get 10 already.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. All right. Just wait a bit more for. Did your class finish early just now? Like the class before this?
Yeah, it ended around 10 o'clock.
Huh?
Yeah, because practical, so we can't do much.
Oh, you mean from 9 to
10.
12 is.
From
Sorry,
9 to
9 to 11 is your aquatic, is it?
and then so we had like class from 9 to 10 and now 11.
Oh. Okay, all right. So, okay, I thought you guys would be like a bit tired or whatever. So I guess no lah. Good. So no excuse to come in later. All right, then I will start. All right, so good morning, everybody. Hopefully you all can hear me clearly. Welcome to VPK 3801. So this is your therogenology class. Hopefully you're all able to access Putra Are you all able to access Putra If yes, can you just type 1 in your chat box? If it's a no, just type 0. Thumbs up also can. All right, ones are okay, great. Got any problems, please reach out to your class rep, course rep, Ravinia. Thank you so much, Ravinia. You've been helping a lot, as well as you can reach out to me if need be. But Ravinia first lah. Huh? Okay, great. So everybody able to access. You all got the notes. You all managed to get the notes. Or one, type 1 or thumbs up. Okay, great. Notes, great. Attendance, very important. You all managed to sign attendance. Access attendance for today. Thumbs up or 1. Okay, excellent. Okay, great. I think because there's a bunch of you that registered on Monday and you only got access to Putra Blast later, I will set up another attendance link for this afternoon. All right, so please make sure you click on that later. Okay, great. Right, so before we go into the lecture proper, I'm just going to go through the synopsis with you guys. All right. Okay, let me just grab my synopsis. Right. Okay, great. So let me just make this bigger. Is that better? Right. All right. So Course name is Therio Genology, VPK 3801. So if you're in the wrong class, please feel free to leave. Right? Credits 2+0, so meaning that we are meeting twice a week. Tuesdays 9 to 10, Fridays 11 to 12, right? So hopefully get 80 student hours. Prerequisite is VPM 3417, which is your pathology. So learning outcomes, hopefully by the end of this this course, you'll be able to describe the reasons for infertility for domestic animals and the need for AI, plan obstetric procedures in animals, as well as to know the importance of therapeutic techniques and technology in animal reproduction. So this course will encompass studies on reproduction, which includes physiology and pathology of the male and female reproductive systems. And more emphasis is given on obstetrics, andrology, and infertility. All right, so for this course, tests and coursework will amount to 60%. So what we have done in the past is that test 1 will be 25%, test 2, 25%, and then there will be a group work at the end of the semester that will account for 10%. Final exams will be 40%. These are some references which I think will be helpful to you guys throughout the duration of this course. These are the newer ones, like Johnson and Noakes. These are the newer ones. Constables, veterinary medicine. I'm sure you all have heard of this. It's like a thick purple book, but you guys all use PDFs now, right? I think. But it's like the front cover is like a purple book. This one is very general medicine for all systems you can do. If you can get your hands on this book, it's great. Sanger, Pathways to Pregnancy and Parturition. Especially if you feel like your basics in repro are not so strong, this is very, very good, because what Sanger does is that he breaks down all like the a bit more complicated stuff, a bit more. Oh gosh, guys, I forgot to record. Dang it! Do I need to repeat everything? Guys, bear with me. Can you please remind me to record next time? Okay, I'm just going to start recording. All right, guys, welcome to the Therio Genology course. It's VPK 3801, 2 credit hours. Prerequisite is VPM 3417, which is your pathology. Learning outcomes are to describe reasons for infertility in domestic animals and need for AI, plan obstetric procedures, as well as study the importance of therapeutic techniques and technology in animal repro. So in terms of synopsis, this course will encompass studies on repro, including physio and patho of male and female, as well as we will emphasize on obstetrics, andrology, and infertility, right? So assessment for this course will be broken out into a few parts. So tests and coursework will make up 60%. So test 1 will make up 25%, test 2 25%. Coursework, which is group work, will make up 10%, and finals is 40%. So these are some references that I recommend to help you in this course. The newer books will be by Johnson and Noakes. The one by Constable this one is more of a general medicine. It covers for different systems as well, not only reproduction. So this is a good reference for you guys to look at for other systems. Sanger, if you guys can get your hands on the Sanger book, Pathways to Pregnancy and Parturition, this will be good, because what Sanger does is that it gives a very easy breakdown of different components of reproduction. So if you feel like your basics is a bit weak or you need a bit more explanation, Sanger is good because he explains it very, very easily. This one is pretty much like the reference go-to for large animal therogenology, which is Youngkis and Trelfall, current therapy in large animal therogenology. You guys have access to Science Direct, correct? So if you go through Easy Proxy on your library, you can actually access the whole book there. Right, and then as for small animal, this book's a bit old, 2002, but it's still very, very useful in terms of small animal therogenology. So this is by Katzwitz. Her explanation is also very, very easy to digest and very easy to understand. Right, so you can see I prefer books that are easy to digest, easy to understand, because there's a lot of information we need to go through. Right, so classes for now will be conducted online and all the links are made available on Putra Blast, which is how you got here today. Recordings of classes will be made available if you're not able to attend the live classes. So typically just give me about 24 to 48 hours to post the videos online. If you go in your Putra Blast later, you will see a link for Google Drive. I will put all the videos in the Google Drive so that you can access the videos, all right? And then in order to access the Google Drive, please log in using your class email, the Gmail, your class Gmail. Just use that to log in. You'll be able to access all the videos, all right? So attendance is very important. You need 80% of attendance in order to sit for your finals, right? So if you miss any classes, if any reason that you need to miss classes, please inform me beforehand. Just write a letter or you got MC or whatever, just send me a soft copy, all right? And besides that, attendance links also will be made available for each class on Putra Blast until 11:55 p.m. of the same day. So please remember to click. If you forget to mark your attendance for the day, what happens is that I'm not able to open it anymore and you will deem as like absent, okay? So I give you chance, it's until the end of the day. So please, very, very important. If you don't fulfill 80%, you cannot sit for finals, right? Then you need to retake the course again. They are pretty strict on that right now. So please make sure, very important, to mark your attendance, okay? Just remind each other or remind your friends or your housemates or whatever, okay? So your responsibility register your attendance for each class. Okay, so just a breakdown of the classes. So we meet every Tuesday 9 to 10 a.m. and Friday 11 to 12. As of now, everything is online. We're not sure whether we'll be meeting face-to-face for lectures, but we'll see in the future how it goes, okay? So this is the breakdown for the following weeks. So yes, so my name is Mark. You can call me Dr. Mark. So other lecturers involved in this course will be Dr. Fitri, as well as Dr. Hussein. You'll be seeing them later throughout the semester. Right, so test one will be on the 19th of November. You have your mid-sem break here, and then you have your test two on 7th of January. If at any time, any of the days of lectures fall on a public holiday, we will just arrange for a replacement on another day. No big deal. Okay, and then in terms of the 14th week, if you see here, infectious diseases and assisted reproductive, excuse me, assisted reproductive techniques, these are the ones that will be in terms of a group presentation, right? So you guys will be placed into groups. So you work in your groups and you do like a 10-minute presentation on specific topics that I will give you, and then you will present to the class. I will give you the topic after your test too, so don't worry about that. All right, we'll discuss that later. So study week is 31st January, 6th February, and then your finals will be here. Okay, great. Any questions in the meantime, guys? About the syllabus, about the classes, Putra Blast, anything for now? Everything's good, right? All right, good. See lots of thumbs ups. All right, great. So everything's good. So I will move on to the class for today. All right, so this morning we will start off with basics. So we'll talk about reproductive anatomy and physiology. Oh yes, just want to remind you guys, if throughout this lecture, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat. I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you feel that you need to speak or if you want to ask a question verbally, I ask that you unmute yourself at the end of my slide, right? So that it doesn't interrupt the flow. Because I don't have very good memory, if you interrupt me during the middle of the slide, I will forget what I'm talking about. Okay, so just if you need to ask questions verbally, just ask me at the end of the slide. Okay, or if you ask in the chat, I will address it once I'm done with the slide. If you see that I'm still not replying, then just feel free to nudge me or just feel free to tell me lah that there's a question in the chat, right? That's okay. Great, awesome. I like how fast you guys are with the thumbs up and your, that's great. Like last time I had to like poke and prod people to like, can you please respond something? Can you just type something? But you guys are like so free with your emojis. Well, that's excellent. Because I can't see your faces because everybody's internet is not great, right? So you guys can see your emoji. All right, so first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to your clinical years officially, DVM4. Woohoo! Things are not going to get any easier. Sorry, reality check. Things are not going to get easier. Things are going to get tougher. Once your rota starts, you might not have enough sleep. You'll be tired all the time. But it's all part and parcel of being a DVM student. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Because we all went through it. Don't worry. At the end of the day, you'll be stronger than you were. Okay, right? All right. So learning objectives for this morning would be to understand the importance of the anatomy of and the physiology of the reproductive tract in domestic animals, to know more about the estrous cycle. Okay. All right. So first of all, let's look at a few pictures. All right. So this is steak. This is kebabs, eggs, cheese, and milk. All right. What do all of these things have in common? What do you think? Feel free to unmute yourself or you can type in the chat. Totally fine. What are some things that these things have in common, you think? Yes, Zian said it's animal products. Wansin mentioned that it's protein. Yes. Hakim said sedap. I have to agree. All right, so all these sedap animal products all have one thing in common, all right? So they're either from animals or they're from protein, right? So animals actually supply a great deal of protein for us humans, all right? Unless you're a vegetarian or you're vegan, you don't consume animal products. But if you're not, then these things are our main source for protein, right? So animals are important. So if we look at this self-sufficiency livestock products, Kada Saradiri, between the years of 2012 to 2018, let's look at 2018, right? So in terms of beef that is obtained from cows as well as buffalo, we see that Malaysia overall, our self-sufficiency is about 22%. In terms of mutton, it's about 11%, pork 90%, poultry 103, so which is way more than which our self-sufficiency is great. Eggs 120%, also excellent. Liquid milk is about 61%. Okay, but in terms of just milk, I think if it's just milk, it's less than 10% because a lot of our supplements for milk is also coming from milk powder that we import as well. So that makes up a huge bulk of our milk consumption, not just liquid milk, right? So if you can see here, there is still a long way for us to go in terms of meeting our self-sufficiency for beef, for mutton, a bit more for pork, and especially for milk. So there is still a need for the industry to thrive and the industry to improve in order to fulfill our self-sufficiency, in order to provide for the citizens of the country, right? So what importance is it to the industry, especially when we talk about reproduction, right? So one of the major limiting factors for productivity is actually poor fertility. If we don't have animals that are able to conceive and produce calves, produce kids, you know, that won't be able to help with the beef industry or the mutton industry, right? So no reproduction equals to no production or no profit, right? To meet self-sufficiency, we talked about that a bit. And especially because we want to meet the economic livelihood of producers or our farmers, right? So we as veterinarians, we play a very real and vital role in terms of taking care of the health of the animal, right? Because ultimately we want to increase the production for farmers, all right? So be it in terms of individual health or herd health or a group of animals, we are very, very important, right? So which is where therogenology comes into play. So just let me break down the word therogenology. So it's a big word, but if we break it down, you will be able to understand what it means. So therogenology is the study of animal reproduction. So it encompasses the physiology, anatomy, pathology, and diseases of both the male and female animals. And it covers obstetrics, gynecology, andrology, and neonatology. So obstetrics is more to do with parturition, the process of giving birth. Gynecology is female reproduction, andrology is male reproduction, and neonatology is neonates, or like babies, right? So there are a few societies that are strong advocates for therogenology. So this is a Society for Therogenology, which is in the US, which is American College of Therogenologists. So if you are part of this College of Therogenologists, or you have a diplomate in this college, so you are certified as a specialist, right? Oh, sorry. I just want to break down. So the word Therio actually means animal or beast. Gen comes from the word genesis, which is beginning, and ology is the study of. So it's pretty much the study of the beginning of animals or animal reproduction. If you're interested, there are some journals that you can look at. Should be able to access for free on Science Direct as well. So Therio Journal, so therogenology as well as reproduction in domestic animals. All right, let's go through the anatomy of the female. I know you guys have done anatomy and physiology in like first, second year, but I'm sure a lot of people have forgotten, don't really remember. So we just do a quick review, right? So this is the reproductive tract of the female. Let's just go through the parts. Any idea what portion of the female this is? What portion of the tract this is, you think? Type it in the chat. Yeah, correct. So this is the cervix. You can see that this is the opening to the cervix right here. The vagina will be more caudal, but it's not included in this picture. And what will be cranial to your cervix? What is this structure right here? Correct, the uterine body, right? Not yet horn yet. The body is right here first. Then it will split into your two horns. Okay, great. And then at the end of the horns, what do you have here? Not this round structure, but this structure here. What do you have here? Before it reaches this structure, there's something here, like a smaller structure. Yeah, so your fallopian tubes or your oviducts, correct? Which will ultimately lead to your, what is this structure here? The oval structure here. Ovaries, yes, very good. So what are some structures that you can find on the ovary? Do you remember what are some structures that you can see on the ovary? Any ideas? Yes, Alia, yep, you can see corpus luteum, correct? Yep. What do you get before corpus luteum? Before ovulation happens? Yep, Kevin. Kevin? Kevin. So yes, follicles. You can look at follicles. Great. So this is a lateral view as well as a dorsal view of the reproductive tract just now. So the vagina, cervix, uterine horn, uterine body, oviduct, and the ovary. And this is what it looks like on the lateral view. So you can see in cows, it's a curved, right? So it's like has curved horns. So there are some species differences in terms of the reproductive tract of the female. We'll just go through real quickly. So in terms of bicornuate, so bicornuate means there are two horns. So these are available in your mares and as well as your cows. But if you compare between your mares and your cows, you can see that the mare has a larger uterine body compared to your cow. And as for the bitch, queen, and sows, you can see that it's also bicornuate, but the uterine horns are very different, whereby it's very, very small uterine body, but the uterine horns are very, very long, right? This is because your bitches, queens, and sows, they are mainly polytocous, right? Polytocous means that they give birth to more than one offspring at one time. So I'm going to type it in the chat the spelling polytocous compared to mares and cows, which are monotocous, right? Because they only give birth to one at a time. So for duplex cervix, where you get two cervixes, will be like your marsupials and your rabbits. And simplex, whereby there are no horns, will be your primates or humans. Right, so this is more pictures. This is a picture of a cow or ruminant cervix. So you can see there's many folds. Right, and then there's some differences between the species. In cows, you can see the cervix has many folds, same as ewes and sows. Right, mares, the cervix is a bit more straight. It goes in a bit more straight. There's not so many folds. So that's why if you want to do AI, like artificial insemination, typically it's easier to do it in mares compared to your cows. All right, moving on to male anatomy. Male anatomy consists of the testicles that is connected to the epididymis. So remember, the epididymis is made up of the head, body, as well as the tail right at the bottom. Epididymis joins up to the vas deferens. The vas deferens will join up to accessory sex glands such as the ampulla, vesicular gland, prostate, as well as the bulbourethral gland, right? Then it exits in the urethra. So for ruminants, we have the sigmoid flexure that is present in the penis, exits at the gland penis and goes out lah. So more pictures. So you can see testicles again. So CM is the cremaster muscle. Cremaster muscle is the one that kind of like controls the length of the testis. No, not the length of the testis, more of like how far the testis is from the body. So this changes according to the environmental temperature, right? So vas deferens, ampulla, vesical glands, body or prostate, bulbourethral gland, also known as the Cowper's gland, right? Sigmoid flexure here, glans penis at the end, and urethra will exit, right? So puberty. So puberty is defined as the process of acquiring reproductive competence. So in females, it's defined as the onset of cyclical reproductive ability. In males, it's defined as whereby the sexual organs functionally develop. So puberty it's influenced by a few things. So mainly nutrition. So animals typically they will attain puberty when they reach around 60 to 65% of their body weight. So this is when they will attain puberty. In terms of season, this one more affected in your temperate climates, whereby you have your spring, summer, fall, or autumn and winter. So in Malaysia, not so much because we don't really have a lot of seasons. We pretty much just have like very hot season, rainy season, and durian season. So it doesn't really affect the puberty for animals. Third is proximity of the male, meaning that the closer the females are to the male, they will typically show signs of heat, or they will come into heat or come into puberty much faster for those that are isolated. And then disease, of course, if there's any disease or any reproductive disease that impairs the reproduction of the animal, so this can delay puberty. Or any disease at all that impairs the general systemic or well-being of the animal, this can cause delays in puberty. So on average, you can see here, on average, sorry. On average, this is the age of puberty that these animals come into heat or whereby they're able to produce sperm. All right. The one in brackets is the range. So you can see there's a range. Just want to bring focus to the dog. You see in dogs on average is 9 for males, 12 for females on average, but it can range between 5 to 12 and for females 6 to 24. You see such a wide range is typically because when we talk about dog breeds, we have like from very, very small dogs to very large breed dogs or giant breeds. So one thing you can think about is that the smaller the animals, the smaller the breeds are, the faster they come into heat, the faster they attain puberty. Because you remember about the 60 to 65% of the body weight, so they attain that body weight they attain that 60 to 65% of their mature body weight much faster than your giant breeds. So if you compare a Chihuahua to like a Great Dane, your Chihuahua will attain that weight much faster compared to your Great Dane. So that's why your Chihuahua will attain puberty much faster, right? All right, so next is the some terminology. So between estrus and estrus cycle, all right? So you can see here, oh, it looks pretty much the same, just that one is missing an O and one has an O. So is there really a difference? Well, there is a difference, and I'm pretty particular of this, all right? So when we talk about estrus without an O, we talk about the period of sexual receptivity or when the animal is in heat. Okay, so for example, we say that the sow is displaying estrus or the sow is in heat, right? So we use estrus without an O. As for estrus cycle, this is the cycling, so regular periods in which the female is sexually active and receptive. So if we've used the word estrus with an O, we always pair it up with another word. So estrus cycle, for example. So one example of a sentence is that the estrus cycle length of a cow is 21 days, right? So please be clear between the differences in estrus and estrus cycle, yeah? Pretty important. And if you make mistakes in terms of spelling of this in your exams, I'm pretty strict on this. I will not give you marks. Okay? Don't tell me, don't say I didn't warn you. I warned you already. All right. So an estrus and estrus cycle, this is very, very dependent on the hormones that are cycling through the animal's body. Okay. So before we go on to the hormones, let's just look at the different estrus cycles of different species. All right, so one is polyestrous, mean that the animal comes into heat regularly throughout the year. So these are your cows, your queens, your pigs, and your rodents. So queens are your female cats, yeah? Cows, queens, pigs, and rodents. So they don't, they come into heat throughout the year. As long as the sun is shining, they're good to go, all right? They're usually good to go. Actually, no, they don't really depend so much on the sunshine. It's just that they just come into heat regularly throughout the year, okay? Seasonal polyestrous, so these are your long day breeders, so which means that they breed during the spring breeding season. So this is like long day seasonally polyestrous, while your short day seasonal polyestrous are your ewe, does, elks, and nannies. So your goats and your sheep, right? So they only breed during the fall or autumn breeding season. So if you are confused as to whether they are spring breeding or autumn breeding season, you just have to think about the length of the gestation, right? So always animals will breed so that they will give birth during spring. So this is for temperate countries, yeah. They want to give birth during spring because this is when there's ample amount of food, right? So spring, there's like grass is coming up, you know, like there's like the trees are starting to have leaves and stuff like that. So if mares, do you all know what is the gestation length of mares? How many months? Any guesses? You can just type in the chat. Don't have to Google. Just you can just type. If you're wrong, it's totally fine. I will correct you. So Zayan says 1 year. Parina 12 months, 1 year. Maria 330 days. Yeah, so 12 months. All right. So yes, so actually it is about 11 months, not 1 year. It's actually 11 months. So 330 days is close enough. So 11 months. So remember, if you want to give birth during spring, which is typically around March, April, May, during that time. So when will they want to breed? So you think about if it's an 11-month gestation period, they will also want to be mated the spring before, right? So there are spring breeding seasons, right? So what about your goats and your sheep? How many months or how many days or how many years is your gestation period? All right, so Kevin says 5 months. Amar, okay, 4 months and a half, 6 months. All right. So for goats and sheep, typically it's about 5 months, right? So if you think about it, if they want to give birth in March, for example, if 5 months from March would be around November, October, around that time, right? So this is your autumn breeding season. Right, and then finally will be your monoestrus. Monoestrus will be your dogs, wolf, foxes, and bears. So monoestrus means that they come into heat once, maybe twice a year. They have a very long break in between their heats, right? So these are monoestrus. So going more into detail on the different aspects of the hormones, we talk about the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, right? So it starts off from the brain and then goes down to the gonads or your reproductive organs, okay? So your hypothalamus produces your GnRH, otherwise known as your gonadotropin releasing hormone. So this word might seem very big. What in the world is GnRH? So you just look at the terms in it itself. So releasing hormone means that this hormone will help to release this from another structure. So gonadotropin means that trophy means that it likes to go to a certain place. So gonadotropin means that its target effect is on the gonads, right? So anterior pituitary will produce your follicle stimulating hormone, okay, which is your FSH, as well as your luteinizing hormone. So really briefly, your follicle stimulating hormone, just look at the word itself, it stimulates the development of follicles. Luteinizing hormone will cause ovulation to occur and will cause the follicle that has ovulated to luteinize, right? Be filled with luteal cells in order for your CL or corpus luteum to work, right? So this is from your anterior pituitary. Do you guys know what is produced by your posterior pituitary? Correct? Oxytocin. What else? ADH. Very good, guys. All right, and then finally at the ovary, this will produce your estradiol from follicles, and from the ovary itself, from the follicles, and progesterone if there is a presence of corpus luteum. All right, so in a bit more detail, GnRH, so it never reaches the general circulation because if you can see here, it just goes back and forth between the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. So pituitary is also still in your brain, yeah? So it never reaches general circulation and it induces the release of FSH and LH from the anterior pituitary. So your FSH, from the name itself, it stimulates the follicle recruitment and initial growth, and it's needed for estradiol production by the follicle. So luteinizing hormone, right, final stage of development and maturation. When you get the LH surge, when there's a high increase in LH, what it causes that? It causes ovulation to happen, right? Then after that, your CL will develop and your progesterone will be produced. So estradiol is produced by follicles. This is the one that shows behavioral estrus characteristics in your female. So she will show signs of heat, right? Also promotes uterine contraction. Progesterone is also it's also known as your hormone of pregnancy because this is what is dominant when your animal is pregnant. Okay, so it's produced by the CL and placenta during pregnancy, and it maintains the quiescence of the uterus. Quiescence just means that it maintains so that the uterus is quiet, there's no activity, there's no motility, there's no contraction, right? Because gestation is occurring, if you have contraction and stuff going on, your pregnancy will not be maintained. So you need to make sure that there's no activity in the uterus, right? It also prevents estrus and ovulation from occurring because she's already pregnant, okay? So you don't need heat, you don't need ovulation to happen. And yes, maintains pregnancy. Right, so for PGF2 alpha or prostaglandin 2 alpha, this one, it's produced by the uterus. So more specifically, it's produced by the endometrium, right? It induces luteolysis, which is death of the CL, right? So it just kills off the CL. Just remember, PGF2 alpha function is mainly just to get rid of your CL. So oxytocin, this is typically released during parturition when the animal is giving birth. So it encourages uterine motility, also encourages milk letdown, right? Another hormone is inhibin, so this just inhibits FSH from being secreted. So this is a estrous cycle of a cow or goats also can. This is something that you've been learning all this while. So really, just to break it down, if you just follow, so when the animal is in heat or during estrus, what happens is that your estradiol or your estrogen E2 will start to increase. So she will start showing signs of heat, right? And then when the follicles is developed and it's ready to be released, what happens is your LH will have a high surge. surge in your LH, and then you remember LH is the one that causes ovulation. So LH causes ovulation. So your follicle will rupture, ovum will be released into the oviduct. Your LH immediately drops. So because it's just a surge, very quick surge, and it goes down, right? Estradiol drops because your follicle is no more there. But your ruptured follicle, your luteal cells will start to fill up within your ruptured follicle to create, to create your CL. So your CL will be formed, all right? Corpus luteum will be formed. And remember, your corpus luteum's function is to produce progesterone. So which is why you see that increase in the progesterone starting from day 3, 4, 5, right? Especially day 5, you can see an exponential increase, and it maintains that level of progesterone until the end, whereby your PGF2 alpha comes into play. Remember, your PGF2 alpha is your CL killer, all right? Kills off your CL. So if there's an increase in your PGF2 alpha, kills off your CL, progesterone no more being produced, so your progesterone concentration will just drop really rapidly. Bam. And then because your progesterone drops rapidly, your estradiol or your estrogen will go up instead, right? Animal show signs of heat, follicular development starts to occur, and then after that, your LH will be increased, ovulation, and then this goes on and on and on and on, right? Is this clear, guys? This is quite important. If there's any parts you need me to repeat, please inform me. Okay, great, excellent. Moving on. Right, so this is just a video. I'll share with you. Please tell me if you can't hear it, right?
In the previous chapter, we introduced the cow's reproductive cycle and the two main stages of the cycle, starting and finishing with the release of an ovum. In this chapter, we will focus in more detail on the different hormones that influence it. The luteal phase is characterized by the presence of a corpus luteum, which releases progesterone, the pregnancy hormone. This phase lasts around 18 days. If the cow does not become pregnant during this time, the uterus will start to release prostaglandin, which destroys the CL, in turn stopping the release of progesterone. As progesterone concentrations drop, estrogen from the developing follicle increases, culminating in standing estrus or heat, and release of a large amount of GnRH and LH. This causes ovulation of the follicle in about 28 hours and release of the ovum. The structure in the body that produces each of the hormones is well known. The corpus luteum produces progesterone, and the follicle produces estrogen. These are the two key structures on the ovary and the two key hormones from the ovary. If the cow does not become pregnant, the non-pregnant uterus secretes prostaglandin to kill the corpus luteum. The hormone that causes initial growth of the follicles, follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, and the hormone that causes ovulation of the follicle, LH, both come from the pituitary. The hormone that causes secretion of LH, GnRH, is released by a part of the brain that is near the pituitary gland called the hypothalamus. Follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, and luteinizing hormone, LH, are released into the bloodstream and travel to the ovary where they have their effect.
So hopefully using that video, you'll be able to understand a bit more of the processes of the different hormones, yeah. All right, so when we talk about follicular development, there are actually 4 stages of follicular development. So they are comprised of recruitment, selection, dominance, and ovulation or atresia. So it's an analogy would be like you're recruiting for the army, for example. So recruitment is that you try to recruit as many immature follicles as you can. So they will you start to recruit them. Okay. You're included. Okay, I think you're appropriate. You're good. Okay, so let's gather all these appropriate or good follicles first. All right. Then after that, you go through selection. So selection means that you actually choose the follicles that are better, or actually the body chooses the follicles that are better in order for them to go to the next stage. So the next stage will be dominance, all right? So dominance means that one, depends if it's monotocus or polytocus, but one follicle will be chosen and this will continue to develop. It will get bigger and bigger and bigger and it will be your dominant follicle, okay? And then once it attains this dominance, it depends. If it is met with the LH, remember your LH hormone, if LH is having a surge, it will ovulate. However, if your LH does not surge, what happens is that it will go through attrition. Okay, so if you can see here, this is your progesterone concentration, right? So if your LH is not increased, you will just go through waves. So you just go through follicular waves, maybe one wave. In this sense, it's only one wave, and then the second wave ovulate. Some animals, they have a few more waves. So if you can see here, there's like the first wave, second wave, and the third wave. So if for this cow, she only ovulates at the third wave, right? And then, oh yes, so for your proestrus and your estrus, it's also known as the follicular phase because this is when your dominant follicles will be ready for ovulation. Okay, all right, and then for next will be luteal phase, whereby it is comprised of your medestrus and diestrus. All right, so this is where your it's also called as luteal phase because. Hey Mulai, could you just mute yourself? Yeah, thanks. So luteal phase will comprise of your diestrus and medestrus, and it's called luteal phase because your CL is the one that is dominant. All right, so let's just look at the how the whole ovulation process takes place. Okay, so let's start from here. So we can see that your LH surge occurs. What happens is that your follicle ruptures and your ovum is released. Right? So once the ovum is released, your corpus luteum will start to develop. So your luteal cells will start to invade. Your CL will start to develop over here. So it's a new corpus luteum. So starting from day 5 to day 15, this will be known as your mature corpus luteum. So you need to remember that only your mature corpus luteum will respond to your PGF2 alpha, right? If you give injections of PGF2 alpha in the hopes of killing off or lysing your CL, if you give it too early at this stage, because it's still new, your CL will not respond. Only when you give it a bit later will your CL respond, and your PGF2 alpha will cause a luteolysis. If not, it won't happen. Right, so immature corpus luteum will continually produce your progesterone, and then about day 19 or 20, it starts to regress. All right, because your PGF2 alpha comes into play, becomes an old corpus luteum, finally it becomes a corpus albicans, right? And then it just kind of disappears. At the same time, your follicles are also starting to mature. So immature follicles are here, they start to mature. Remember your recruitment selection, and then dominance will start to occur here. And your developing follicle, this is a dominant one that's mature. Finally, with your LH surge, it will cause ovulation, and then the ovum will be released. Is this okay? Is this part okay? Okay, great. All right, so to break up into the different phases, so we have your proestrus. So this is mainly where follicular growth occurs. CL will start to regress. And what about the uterus? The uterus will start to enlarge. The endometrium starts to have more blood vessels, right? More congestion, more blood flow, more edematous, and the glandular secretion. So there's more fluid that's being secreted. If you look at the vagina, the mucosa will appear hyperemic. There will be thickening of the epithelial cell layer, and your superficial layers will become conified. As for estrus, this is when your female starts to accept the male, so the animal is really on heat. And then the most important sign of estrus is the female will stand to be mounted, right? Remember, this is the most important sign of estrus, stands to be mounted. Other than that, the uterus, cervix, and vaginal glands will secrete mucus, and the cervix will start to become relaxed. Why is it that the cervix needs to be relaxed? Is because so that the sperm can travel through the cervix in order to meet the ovum. Right? If you look at the vagina, it will be hyperemic and congested. And ovulation occurs spontaneously during estrus, except for cows. So cows, normally it will occur 12 hours after the end of estrus. All right. So there are two types of ovulation. One is spontaneous and one is induced. So like for example, your queens, rabbits, and camels. So take for example your cats, your queen cats. They actually need to be mated at least 4 times in order to induce ovulation to occur. Okay, so they naturally their body won't ovulate. They actually need that stimulation from the mating in order for her to ovulate. Okay. So next will be mid-estrus. So this is when your mucus secretion will start to reduce, lutein cells will start to invade, you get formation of your CL. And then next will be diestrus, so also known as the luteal phase. Uterine glands will undergo hyperplasia, hypertrophy, cervix will be constricted, mucus will be very sticky, scanty, so not much of mucus you'll see at this point of time. And if you look at the vaginal mucosa, it will appear pale. At this point of time, your CL is fully functioning, right? And then finally, for anestrus, so you remember for those animals that are seasonally polyestrous, or like dogs, which are monoestrus, they only come into heat once or twice a year, they have these long phases of anestrus. So it's a prolonged period of sexual rest where there's no activity. The repro tract will be quiescent, nothing happening in the reproductive tract, minimal follicular development, CL will be regressed, very small, non-functional, or you don't even see the CL at all, right? And then the cervix will be constricted, all right, because there's no need for it to be dilated. If you look at the vaginal mucosa, it will appear pale. Right, so just to remind you guys again, you guys remember proestrus and estrus belongs to what phase? You can just type it in the chat or you want to unmute yourself. Remember, proestrus and estrus belongs to which phase? Yes, nuclear phase. What about your diestrus and menestrus? This belongs to which phase? Luteal phase. Yes, luteal phase. Yeah. Excellent, guys. Very good. So hopefully you are now able to understand the importance of the anatomy and physiology of the reproductive tract in domestic animals, as well as get to know more of the estrus cycle. Do you guys have any questions for me? Feel free to unmute yourself. If you don't want to talk, you can.
Hello, doctor.
Okay, yes, hello.
I have a question. For the slide estrus, I did not get what the when the induced evolution pula. When the induced ovulation, when doctor said young queens need to be mated 4 times,
Yes.
that part I do not get a clear understanding about that.
Sure, all right. Thanks, Hakim, for the question. Hakim or Abdul, what do I call you?
Hakim.
Hakim. All right. Thanks, Hakim, for the question. So in terms of spontaneous and right here, let's see, what is it? Induced ovulation. Okay, so spontaneous ovulation means that the female is able to ovulate by herself. She doesn't need any stimulation. She doesn't need the presence of the male. She will ovulate naturally. So let's say, for example, like the cow, her estrous cycle is 21 days, right? So every 21 days, she will ovulate. Doesn't matter whether there's a bull nearby or not. But for induced ovulators like the queen, she will still cycle, but she will just reach the stage of estrus, and then she will go back into a state of not being estrus or post-estrus, right? Because she needs the presence of a male in order for her to ovulate. She needs to mate. The act of mating is the one that influences or is the one that causes the ovulation to occur. If the cat is just by herself, there's no mating with the male, there's no mating with the tomcat, she will not ovulate. Does that make sense, Hakim?
Yes, doctor. Understood.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Can you just give a thumbs up if you have no questions? Then I don't have to like wait here and then just stare at my computer screen. Okay, great. Okay, so no questions, Okay. If in the event you do have questions, please feel free to post questions in chat in Pucha Blast. I have forums set up for that. You can post questions in there. Or if you want, you can also email me. My email is, let's let me type my email. This is my email. You can feel free to email me. I'm usually pretty good with my email, but past few weeks have been really busy, so I might be slow to reply. Best is if you just ask in the discussion forum in Pucha Blast. All right. All right. If there are no other questions, thank you so much for your time, guys. I will see you later this afternoon at 3 p.m. All right. Take care.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor.